All right, welcome back everyone to episode 4 of our Forza Athletics coaching YouTube series. My name is Dr. Charles Inferna and I'm the owner of Forza Athletics, where we equip coaches and athletes with the tools they seek out in order to achieve their unique and specific goals. Today in our coaching series, what we're going to spend some time talking about and discussing is realistic goals or expectations. Now, a couple weeks ago we talked about the goal that we wanted to accomplish, why it was important for us to accomplish that goal, whatever it is, whatever we want to achieve, either in athletics or in our lives, right? Last week we talked about the sacrifices and decisions that we're going to need to make in order to achieve those unique and specific goals. Today we're going to talk about realistic expectations when it comes to not only the goals that we set for ourselves, but what else we need to consider when we're focused on trying to actually achieve them. So I listed out for us here, one of the, mostly discussed, well-versed, research to a certain extent is the SMART goal acronym as far as achieving, life's successes, if you will. And we have S is for specific. Is our goal specific? Is it measurable? Is it achievable? Realistic? And is it time-based? Right? So we've been spending a lot of time talking about throwing and triathlon and things of that nature. So I think we're going to stick to that for this example and kind of make our goals interchangeable. Okay? So 2 specific goals. One, because I'm interested in completing in triathlon. Another one, because I'm a throwing coach, is we're going to go big here. Specific goal, national champion. And world championships. All right. So from a coaching perspective, I'm an athlete. Their specific goal is that they want to be a national champion. Personal goal, for the purpose of this example, is I want to qualify for world championships for Ironman 70.3, so half Ironman world championships, okay? So those are my specific goals. That's what I want to do. Measurable. Of course they're measurable, right? Distance here, right? So we would win, right? We have to qualify. And then here, time. Literally time-based, right? We have to finish in a certain spot. We have to have a certain time to qualify for Ironman 70.3 World Championships. We need to hit a certain distance to be a national champion, obviously. And we have to qualify as well. Now, that's a whole nother conversation that we're going to have next month as far as qualifying and what happens when you actually get there. Okay? But they are measurable. Is it achievable? We're not going to really talk too much about that today. Realistic. This is what I want to spend time talking about. And time-based, obviously, with college nationals, right? Let's say we have 4 to 5 years to accomplish this goal. And let's say Ironman World Championships. Let's give myself 5 years also. Okay, I'm going to turn 43 in a few weeks. I'm going to qualify for Ironman half Ironman World Championships in 5 years. So I'll be 48. Okay, realistic. Now, depending on the relationship that you have with your athletes, this conversation could be a really powerful one, a really inspiring one, if you will, or it could set us back in our relationship with the athletes that we coach. I don't have a triathlon coach, but we're going to use this as an example, okay? So I have an athlete comes into my office as a freshman, and they say, you know what, coach, I want to be national champion in 4 years by the time I graduate. What do you think about that? So as a coach, there's a couple things that we need to process as first, right? One thing before coaching Lewis that I would have thought of was, well, has this athlete ever competed in track before? Have they ever, done what they say that they want to do? In Lewis's case, no, he never threw. But we never had a national champion conversation until his senior year. Before that, okay? So working with somebody who's never done the sport or event that they say they want to be a national champion in, it doesn't make it any less realistic, okay? There's plenty of athletes, they go to nationals every year, that probably never competed, or if they did, they were marginal at best at high school, they fall into a college setting, they have a great coach, they have a great support system, they have fantastic teammates that are going to help and support them on these endeavors. Might make it more realistic. But another thing to keep in mind with realistic, trajectory moving forward, right? I'm going to use another thrower as an example for realistic expectations where we didn't really have the conversation until her sophomore year. Monique Hardy. Excuse me. Monique was a thrower here locally, at least where I'm recording from, at Webster. Her first high school meet as a freshman, she threw the weight about 30 feet. We started working together here and there, spending some time trying to figure out this whole weight thing. And she ended up breaking the freshman state record in New York. She threw 47 feet, okay, as a freshman in high school. So 47 feet, depending on the Division III conference, for example, and depending on the situation, she might win that, okay? So that's where she was as a freshman, 13, 14 years old, okay? Sophomore year, she threw the weight 56 feet, broke the New York State sophomore class record, okay? So now it's like, okay, now we're kind of in a pretty serious situation, right? 56 feet. She's one of the best weight throwers in the country. She's definitely one of the best all-time in New York State. So she had an upward trajectory after her first 2 seasons of throwing. Junior year, she goes over 60 feet for the first time, right? Now she's number 2 all-time in New York State, one of the top high school throwers in the country, ends up winning New Balance Nationals, high school All-American, fantastic hammer thrower, like all of these different things leading up to. COVID struck, unfortunately, right? But right before COVID, she was able to secure the indoor national championship. And that was realistic for her based on the trajectory that she started her freshman year, right? Like, so when we talk about these realistic expectations and we talk about the sacrifices that athletes are willing to make in order to achieve their goals, that's really what it comes down to. Those two facets of training really go hand in hand, right? This is what I want to do. These are the sacrifices that I need to make in order to get there. But they don't become realistic, or that goal doesn't become realistic or achievable until you start making those sacrifices and you start putting in the work and you start becoming a student of the game, if you will, with that instance with Monique. Lewis, the same thing, right? He was a 40-foot weight thrower his freshman year at NAS. Sophomore year bumps up to 56, right? Now we're like, okay, multiple-time conference champion. His sophomore year, he goes to 62, right? He's an All-American, okay? He's an All-American. He's the top returning weight thrower in the country. His senior year, it was very realistic for him to win a national championship his senior year, right? Then we went over 67, won at nationals, excuse me, and the rest is history. But it didn't become realistic until we really saw the trajectory of what the possibilities could be. And we never really know for sure. I'm not a coach that's going to share with my athletes, you know what, yes, you're definitely going to become a national champion. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't set our athletes up for failure if they're not willing to do what it takes in order to accomplish their specific goal. And I think that's why this month and having these conversations about what our goal is, why it's important to us, what sacrifices are we willing to make, and if it's realistic or not, really it comes down to all three ingredients of this recipe of success. And I've talked about that before as far as every athlete is different. The ingredients are the same, but the recipe is going to be a little different. It's going to be worded differently, right? All of the expectations that we talk about. With my triathlon endeavors, is it realistic for me to qualify for Ironman World Championships, half Ironman World Championships? Based on my sprint and Olympic distance performances, probably not, right? Not yet anyway, right? If I'm willing to make more sacrifices this year than I was last year or prior years, there might be a chance based on my trajectory, right? Like if I enter a sprint race this summer and I finish in the top 3 in my age group. If I enter an Olympic distance race and I finish in the top 3 in my age group. Next year I enter a half Ironman race and I finish in the top, 10% of my age group. Then there's an upward trajectory of, okay, we kind of have figured out locally, Western New York State, right? Maybe I go to, in year 3, go to triathlon masters age group U.S. championships. Oh, now all of a sudden I'm the younger athlete in the next age group up, right? I'm turning 43 in 3 years. I'll be 45, so I'll be in the 45 to 49 age group. Now all of a sudden, the upward trajectory, my times are getting a little faster. It might be a little bit more realistic to qualify for 70.3 Ironman World Championship, right? But things don't become realistic, right? Your goals don't become realistic if you're not willing to make sacrifices in order to achieve them. And we only make sacrifices for those goals when it's something worth achieving that's critically important to us, right? Everything has to work together here, okay? The goals don't become realistic if we're not willing to put in sacrifices to achieve whatever it is that we want to achieve. Okay? I can't stress that enough. I say that to the athletes that I work with ad nauseum, right? It becomes realistic when we're willing to make sacrifices to achieve our goals. That's when our goals become realistic. If we're not willing to put in that work, if we're not willing to put in that effort, it's not a realistic expectation. It's something that you say you want to do, but you're not willing to put in the work to be able to accomplish that goal. And I hope that makes sense. And I hope today's episode on realistic expectations and looking at the trajectory of our performances and the sacrifices that we're willing to make makes our goals and dreams more achievable in the future. Thank you very much for listening and watching episode 4 of the Forza Athletics Coaching YouTube series. My name is Dr. Charles Inferna, and have a great day.